In a world painted with countless shades of dawn and dusk, there lived a girl named Elara. From her earliest days, a restless spirit hummed within her veins. While other children found comfort in familiar games and the warmth of their homes, Elara found hers in the rustle of a train schedule and the promise of a new horizon. Her parents, loving but bewildered, called her their little bird, always ready to take flight. By the time she was 18, she had saved every penny. Not for a car or a college fund, but for a one-way ticket to anywhere. Her first stop was a sun-drenched village in Italy, where she learned to make pasta from a nonna who communicated entirely through gestures and warm smiles. From there, the world unfurled before her like a grand, beautiful map. She danced under the northern lights in Iceland, her laughter echoing in the frozen air. She hiked through the dense, humid jungles of Costa Rica, the calls of exotic birds her morning alarm. She learned the art of tea ceremonies in Kyoto, finding a moment of stillness amidst her constant motion. Each place left a mark on her, a new story etched into her soul, a new stamp in her well-worn passport. But as quickly as she arrived, she would feel the familiar pull, the whisper of the wind calling her to the next adventure. She was a collector of moments, not of things. Her only constant companions were a tattered backpack and the ever-present feeling that home was a place she just had even discovered yet. She believed happiness wasn't a destination, but the journey itself. Yet, sometimes, in the quiet of a lonely hostel room, a sliver of doubt would creep in. Was she running towards something? Or how I from eat? After years of wandering, a strange feeling of weariness began to settle in her bones. The thrill of the unknown was still there, but it was tinged with a quiet longing. It was this feeling that led her to a small, forgotten coastal town nestled in a quiet corner of the world. The town was called Seabrook, a place of salty air, cobblestone streets, and houses painted in pastel hues. It wasn't on any tourist's map. It was a place where time seemed to slow down, where the rhythm of life was dictated by the gentle ebb and flow of the tide. Elara planned to stay for a week, just long enough to catch a breath before her next flight. On her second day, while sketching the old lighthouse that stood guard over the harbor, she met Liam. He ran the town's only bookstore, a cozy, cluttered haven called the Printed Page. It smelled of old paper, brewing coffee, and something uniquely comforting, like a story waiting to be told. Liam had eyes the color of the sea on a calm day and a smile that seemed to understand her restlessness without a single word being spoken. He wasn't a traveler. His roots ran as deep as the ancient oaks that lined the town square. His world was built of stories, but they were the ones he found within the pages of his books. He approached her quietly, noticing the detailed drawing of the lighthouse taking shape in her sketchbook. "You've captured his character," he said, his voice as gentle as the lapping waves. "Most people just see an old building, but you've seen its soul." Usually so quick with a traveler's tale, found herself momentarily speechless. She simply smiled and thanked him. He invited her for coffee, and that one cup turned into a whole afternoon of conversation. She told him about the markets of Marrakesh, the mountains of Peru, and the vibrant streets of Bangkok. He listened, completely captivated, his eyes full of genuine curiosity, not the polite but distant interest she was used to. In return, Liam shared his own world. He showed her the hidden histories of the secret cove, where bioluminescent plankton lit up the water at night, the ancient tree with lovers' initials carved into its bark from a century ago. He didn't have stories of distant lands, but his stories of home were just as rich, just as magical. He spoke at the town's festivals, the families who had lived there for generations, and the quiet beauty of watching the seasons change from his bookstore window. For the first time, Elara listened to stories of staying put and felt not boredom, but a sense of wonder. Her planned week in Seabrook stretched into 2, then a month. Elara found herself falling into a gentle routine. Mornings were for exploring the coastline, her sketchbook filling with images of crashing waves and weathered fishing boats. Afternoons were spent at the Printed Page, helping Liam sort new arrivals, the scent of books becoming as familiar as the sea breeze. He would read poetry aloud to her, his voice weaving magic into the quiet air of the shop. She taught him how to cook a spicy Thai curry she'd learned in Chiang Mai, and they'd laugh as they fumbled with the ingredients in his small kitchen. One evening, they sat on the pier, their legs dangling over the dark water as the stars began to appear. "Aren't you getting that itch?" Liam asked softly. The one that tells you it's time to go. Ilara looked out at the horizon. The familiar call of the unknown, now just a faint whisper. It's strange, she confessed, her voice barely audible. It's quieter here. With you, it's quiet. He didn't press her. He just reached over and gently took her hand. His warmth a comforting anchor in the vastness of the night. In that simple touch, she felt a connection deeper than any she'd ever known. She started to see the world differently through Liam's eyes. He showed her that adventure wasn't just about crossing borders. It was about seeing the magic in the everyday. It was in the shared silence of watching a sunset, in the joy of finding a rare first edition, in the comfort of knowing someone was waiting for you at the end of the day. He admired her adventurous spirit, her courage, and the incredible stories she carried with her. He never once asked her to change or to stay. He simply created a space so warm and welcoming that the thought of leaving began to feel like leaving a part of herself behind. One day, an email arrived, a confirmation for a flight to New Zealand she had booked months ago, a trip she had dreamed of. The old excitement flickered, but it was quickly overshadowed by a profound sense of sadness. The thought of packing her bag, of saying goodbye to Liam, of leaving the scent of old books and salty air was unbearable. That evening, she found Liam in the bookstore, carefully repairing the spine of a very old book. He looked up and smiled, and in that moment, she knew. "I'm not going," she said, the words tumbling out in a rush. "I canceled the flight. I think I've been traveling all this time, looking for a reason to stop. I think you're my reason." Liam set the book down and walked over to her. He gently cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs tracing the lines of a life lived in motion. "Ilara," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Home isn't a place on a map. It's a feeling. I've felt more at home since you walked into this town than I have in my entire life." Ilara realized that her whole life had been a journey not to a place, but to a person. She had been searching for a home that existed not in a location, but in a connection. In Seabrook, with Liam, she finally found it. She didn't have to give up her love for adventure. They planned new ones. Together, they would explore the world. But now, they had a home to return to. The girl who would not sit still finally found her anchor. Not in a place, but in a love that was as deep and constant as the tide. And she learned that the greatest adventure of all was not in discovering the world, but in building one with someone you love. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more.